Welcome to the 4205 cast. And we've got something interesting for you today.
Do we now?
Yes.
Is it interesting? It's interesting. It's very interesting. I mean, we're
It's
here.
unprecedented, if anything.
It's a little crazy, I have to say.
It's wild.
This is-
It's blowing up.
This is not an episode. We're just going to talk about this one thing. And then we're going to move on with our lives, not waste anybody's time. But
Time is precious.
It would seem... I guess we would be kind of derelict in our duty if we did not talk about this.
You call
Yeah.
it
So-
a derelict. You can derelict my balls.
You just want to make that shit joke.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
God damn it.
Mm.
Right. So
Who are we again?
everybody knows who we are. So
Yes.
let's
Right.
just get into it.
Works for me.
On the last episode, I mentioned I had played Cyberpunk, and my opinion of that game has not changed. I still view it favorably. However, I'm playing it on a PC.
Yes.
Mhm.
I am not one of the 60% of pre-orders on consoles. I got it on PC. So the majority of people who pre-ordered this game, and probably the majority of people playing this game, not having a good time because they're trying to play it on a PS4 or an Xbox One X or an Xbox One S
Whatever
Got
that
it.
generation of Xbox was.
or
X-Bone. Just call it the X-Bone.
and this game is not performing well. Like, I saw some Digital Foundry stuff, so you know that they're pretty much accurate and unbiased about it, because they pretty much only care about performance. Stuff like 15 frames per second and not exactly super dense areas and stuff. And
Straight up, the Xbox version looks like Switch footage sometimes.
yeah, and I don't remember who it was that I was listening to, but they said that this looks like somebody making a Switch port of the game.
So, a little bit of preliminary before we really get into this. This game was delayed significantly a number of times, and the most recent delay, if you remember, the one that took it from November into December, they outright said that the PC version was done.
Yep.
The PC version was done.
They were working on the console version.
Yeah, we had already heard that the studio was really crunching down on their employees and trying to make it work. They took another month for the console version, specifically for the console version. Just remember, back in November, this went gold.
Yes.
I
And then
remember.
it went gold. Why is it delayed? Here we are. We understand now. This game is not ready for consoles.
And honestly, that even though it does run on relatively decent hardware, it still got some issues.
Yes.
For a game to have been delayed like this, to be as unready as this game is, it's kind of harkens to Final Fantasy 15, where it was
Oh.
just like, this game took a long time to come out, and then you look at it and it's like, but it still feels like it was rushed.
Yeah.
Yes. But this is on another level because this is just straight up broken.
Yeah.
And yeah, go on, Chris.
I was gonna say, like, this whole thing has got me so fucking disheartened. I'll get into it later, but like,
Yes.
oh my god, like this, and it wasn't that I was particularly hyped for the game or anything. I haven't touched it. It's sitting on my PS5, the PS4 version, sitting on my PS5 right now. I haven't touched it.
But that's the only version, really.
Because
Apparently,
there is no PS5 version.
yeah. So like, I will probably start this up at some point and see how this goes. But every time I turn on my machine, there's a absurd patch eating up my hard drive space, and I'm like, "Ugh, this is not looking good." And I'll get into why I'm disheartened later.
Before
but
we get into like the real meat of it,
Mhm.
even this CD Projekt CEO said that it runs surprisingly well on current gen consoles, and at the time it was the PS4 and the Xbox, One version.
Mhm.
So
But let's also not forget that it's not absurd for people to expect this game to run on PS4 and Xbox,
when it was
because
announced 8 years ago.
the first time it was announced, those systems were next gen.
So let me tell you something. When this game was announced, you could not even buy a PS4 yet,
Yeah.
No.
which is mind-boggling.
So
to
that
me.
makes me think that that's when they initially acquired the license to use Cyberpunk 2077, that particular brand.
Yeah.
And they had just started on production of it, and they probably look. I know CD Projekt Red is probably more likely to make things for PC first, and having played PC games for the majority of my gaming for the last 20 plus years, like I've seen some really, really, really shitty PC ports. So this is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna say like, oh, here's a console port that is terrible. Like first time guys, I'm not gonna say that. Here's why. Consoles have a uniformity about them, where you don't have to build around people having unique specs for their machines. Every single one of these things is the same. Yes. That being said, there is the exception because there's like the iterative mid-tier next upgraded generational console here.
Your pros, your X's, your XS's.
That's another thing, but still near universal uniformity, whatever. Near uniformity.
Unique uniformity.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
It's a new narrative game.
So having a shitty PC port of a console game, pretty understandable. Having a shitty console port of a PC game seems kind of weird.
Kind of weird.
Like it's
kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's like they didn't. It's like they didn't really not care, but maybe not plan appropriately for this.
So to Joe's point, they had 8 years for the development of this game. I don't believe they used the full 8 years to develop this game.
No, absolutely not. I don't believe that for a goddamn moment. I think they were focused entirely on making The Witcher 3 be the incredible game that it was.
Which was also broken when it first came out.
Yeah, it was buggy as shit. All right, we talked about last episode how buggy it was when it came out, but it wasn't like unplayably buggy.
No,
it was extremely buggy. Like not like game-breaking Skyrim bugs, but like it was. That's not. This is not like this game. This is like a Bethesda job.
Hey, it looked the part. It looked like it belonged on the console it was running on.
I know Chris, you're probably not going to like this, but I don't think there's ever been a Bethesda game as bad as this.
I think you're right. Look, I'm not gonna.
I think Fallout.
I got no dog in this fight, bro.
Fallout 76 is probably
yeah.
Fallout 76 is worse. Worse, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I got.
There's some.
It was worse.
Well, Chris has history with that. So yeah.
Look, this is the thing, man. Like, you know me. I hate the smugness that Bethesda brings to the table. Like, CD Projekt Red has felt very shady.
So,
and I figure we can.
Oh, for this launch, yes, not in general.
For me, performance aside, yes. Yeah. Performance aside, this is a massive game that is doing like cyberpunk technology and stuff like that. That I'm not really expecting for it to congeal all well together. I'm expecting bugs, and I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
It is CD Projekt Red's handling of this entire situation that I have problem with.
That's what I'm kind of getting at.
Absolutely, honestly, made me lose like respect for them.
They have lost any goodwill that I ever would have had for them.
Everything they gained from The Witcher, all those accolades and everything. The next time they announce another game, I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
We'll see.
And I would have never said that 2 years ago.
I know. We were all excited for this game 2 years ago.
Well, let's get into this.
Yeah.
Let's start with their letter after stuff was hitting the fan. So, little 3-paragraph letter. I'm going to skip the second one because it's talking about bug fixes and stuff. So, say, first of all, we'd like to start by apologizing to you for not showing the game on base last-gen consoles before it premiered, and in consequence, not allowing you to make a more informed decision about your purchase. We should have paid more attention to making it play better on PS4 and Xbox One, which is why you delayed the game, right? So clearly you knew it didn't. You told reviewers not to feature the game. You told reviewers to not use their own footage.
Can I cut in? Fuck them.
So
fuck them for that. Seriously, that's disgusting. They fucking knew, and they deserve every bit of this bullshit that's happening to him. Not people who made the game, the fucking people who cleared this shit.
When I read this, I have like a few gaming group chats with some friends and stuff like that, and in each one of them, I sent that. That first paragraph made me legitimately upset.
It's
I
dumb.
was furious,
It's
dude.
ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. It's
like
disgusting.
it's like we knew our shit was bad and we're sorry.
We're sorry, but no, you're not.
And
no, you're not. You got caught.
And you know what? And you know what? Can you wrong them because this is the industry that does that?
Yeah.
You release games and then you're like, hey, we'll fix it later. Sorry. You still love it because it's like a 9.0, user, Metacritic score, so whatever. But it was different for this one because the bugs in this game present was unfathomable. Like nobody would have expected.
And
that
just
one of the
missing
hypest
features.
games.
Yeah, like Bethesda games bugs are usually charming. Like,
They are.
weird looking horses and terrible annoying physics. This one just like crashes.
Yeah. Hard locks your game.
Mm-hmm.
I just read an article where it deletes your save data if it gets too big.
Yep,
that's fun. That's nice.
8 megabyte saves are corrupted.
Yeah, don't hold on to too much shit, boys and girls.
Also, 8 megabyte saves are like crazy large. So
yeah, I mean, like you have to be stock full of crafting, but that shouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah, but you know what? There is one other time I do remember this being a thing. PS3 Skyrim.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's like you can't avoid it, right? Like sometimes you just have these things where it's like sometimes you're gonna make a buggy game and it's just gonna look like another buggy game.
Yeah.
Second, we'll fix bugs and crashes, blah blah blah, and they explain
a schedule, all right?
A schedule of bug fixes and stuff.
The third paragraph is also sorry, Dre, go on.
Yeah. Right now they're on version 1.05, so that's 4 patches.
Yep.
Since the game.
More on the way.
Last paragraph. Finally, we would always like everyone to buy our games to be satisfied with their purchase. We would appreciate it if you would give us a chance, but if you are not pleased with the game on your console and don't want to wait for updates, you can opt to refund your copy. For copies purchased digitally, please use the refund system of PSN or Xbox respectively. For box versions, please try to get a refund at the store where you bought the game. Should this not be possible, please contact us at blah blah, and we will do our best to help you. Starting from today, you can contact us for a week up till December 21st. So I'm going to start here. We all worked at
They know already. They already know.
We all worked at GameStop.
They know where we worked at this point. Doesn't matter.
How often would you take a refund for an open game?
Never.
Zero. Never. Not once. Ever.
I read this whole thing just made me like infuriated, and I try not to get upset with things like this because there's bigger things going on in this world. But them saying, "Oh, hey, take this open copy of this game and just try to return it," or this digital download that you played for a little bit. Hey, speak to Sony, who is historically not about giving refunds. Yeah, talk to them and get your money from them.
Mm-hmm. So, go get them. Don't worry.
Let's hit Sony right now.
Sony definitely hit back.
Sony is like you said, they're not really keen on giving refunds, but they will. It's not like they won't. They will give you a refund if it makes sense. Like you have never touched the game and like, all right, fine, here, have a refund. They put out this letter. Actually, I don't even remember the date. I don't have a specific date on it, but they put out a letter a couple days after the game came out. They say, hey, go and talk to Sony or Xbox about your refunds. So now they look like they're the good guys because they're like, hey, you know what? We're sorry you messed up. If you want a refund, go get a refund. They didn't talk to Sony or Microsoft. So Sony and Microsoft are like,
excuse me?
Why are we getting all these calls for refunds?
Mm-hmm.
Sony, and this is not written anywhere that they are, not happy about it, but they basically, in my opinion, this is just me throwing stuff against the wall.
No, because you're right in this assessment.
I can't believe these guys did this. So what we're going to do is, sure, if you want a refund, you got it, and this game's coming off the store.
Delisted.
So
Wait 1 second, Chris.
Okay.
I have never seen a game delisted from any of the stores unless it
Ever.
had something to do with copyright running out or things like that.
Or
The only
security
time
I've never
breaches.
seen a game taken down for quality.
The only
Yeah.
time this has ever happened was with Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight,
Arkham Knight, the
version.
PC version.
But-
yeah.
that game
And-
was busted.
It was busted, and the publisher themselves took it down.
Yeah.
They
Which
said,
I respect
"Yo,
them for.
100%."
Yeah.
They were like, "Yo, this game is bad. We're gonna take this thing down." A platform holder said,
Nope.
No,
Well,
this game's
no."
not going to be there.
So I think the way this happened, right, is exactly how we just laid it out. It was like, okay, they publish a letter. Sony's like, why? What's happening? Why are we getting blown up over this? And they just see the letter, like, okay. So like the way things work, right? My understanding is that when a game is coming out, okay, there's a quality control. Okay, and if it's not at its best state, you can put in an appeal to Sony or Microsoft for a day one patch. Like, okay, look, this isn't the state that it's in. It's not in the best state, but we're working on a day one patch, right? Which is how they probably got approved for the release date. Okay, and as a result of that, which means they just lied to Sony about what was going to be in the day one patch. So Sony is just probably like sitting here with egg on their face, like, you motherfuckers, this was going to be a fucking killer app. This was our December game. Straight up, this was the December game. This was
fuck-
Christmas time.
Fuck December game. This was supposed to be the game of the generation.
Yeah.
It was
Like,
touted
this
as
was-
such.
I mean,
Yeah, and now, like, Sony is, they're not saying anything, but like it's very clear. When I saw that, I was like, holy shit. Because like this is Japanese company angry. They're like, they don't talk about how angry they are. They just make an announcement.
They just stare at you and make you hang your head.
Yeah, and like they just stare at you till you just like throw yourself out the window, which is what they actually want you to go do now.
So here was the statement. Here's a statement from Sony. Sony Interactive Entertainment strives to ensure a high level of customer satisfaction. Therefore, we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased Cyberpunk via the PlayStation Store. SIE will also be removing Cyberpunk from the PlayStation Store until further notice, which who knows when that will be.
That is Japanese for you fucked up, and you fuckers better make it right. That's what I'm reading, because that's how that works. When in that kind of talk, that is in Japan, people want you to read between the lines, right? It's literally part of the culture. Like when someone says something to you, you're supposed to like listen to them, and then you have to read the subtext that is in between every sentence. Like literally, like, hey, so we want everything to go like we're really fucking mad at these people. Okay, we're gonna give you a refund. Like these fuckers owe us big time. Okay, we're delisting this. And it's like you have lost all great standing with us and need to make it up. That's what's actually happening between each of those lines. Oh, that's Sony's statement. At least that's what I'm reading.
That's pretty much what that sounds like to me.
You don't actually have to speak Japanese to understand Japanese.
Just watch enough anime, you'll get it.
Unless it's Dragon Ball, then it's all dumb and in your face. It's just the opposite.
Oh, you understand it. You're just anyway.
It's hard to you don't get mad at it.
Anyway.
So, as we touched on before, while they are claiming, CD Projekt Red is claiming that they had no knowledge of how bad the game was on current gen consoles, they absolutely knew because they told people don't use footage. They did not hand out review copies of previous gen. So,
I've watched about a dozen reviews for Cyberpunk the day it came out, just to kind of see where the game was at. And every single one of them complained about bugs, complained that they had to use B-roll that CD Projekt Red provided to them. And then you want to come around and say, hey, we didn't know how bad these versions were, then why would you send B-roll out and say don't use your own footage? And
I love that all the reviews were like, this is B-roll footage, by the way.
Every single one.
IGN
and they did not get the console codes until the day the game released.
Unbelievable.
I really liked what IGN did, which was they stated up front all of that. We're like, we don't have the console, so we don't know. This is not our footage. There's bugs. We're going to re-record this video when we can use our own footage.
Yeah.
And they did did you see the console review?
Yes.
4.
Ooh, good.
And they might have been generous because they were like, look, the game is good when you can play it.
Is it so? Is like
You
is
just
that
can't
running?
play it.
Is that running on a Pro that it's running that bad?
They're both bad, but the base
Oh
PS4 and the
God.
base Xbox are just horrendous. It's like 15 frames per second.
Oh my God.
Hard lock in
Nothing should-
constantly. Textures
nothing-
not loading for minutes.
Nothing should ever
Minutes.
run on 15 FPS ever. Anything, anywhere.
I can. You've never hear me argue about that, man.
Hey, you know what? I played a pretty good Final Fantasy game at 15 FPS. FF4 DS.
All right. Well, maybe that's the exception, not the rule.
Also,
Like,
you don't really care if it's 15 FPS on a DS, and it's an
yes, you can't even really tell.
What this showed is that they looked at what they would gain versus what they would lose and figured that it was worth going through all this motion because they knew they were gonna. This game sold amazingly.
I don't think
They made-
I don't think that's the case. I think it's
Yeah.
it's a little more. It's a little more corporate management than that.
Mhm.
I don't think it was that. I think it was I think they were getting hell from their shareholders who are saying, "Where is this game? Where is this game? Where is this
Yeah.
game?" Expectations were too high. They
Well,
didn't.
they're not publicly traded, so but they do have a bunch of people who.
How can they have shareholders if they're not publicly traded?
Well, I mean, like,
They are publicly traded.
oh, they are. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they were or not.
I mean, like, they're not on, the Dow Jones or NASDAQ or anything, but
Okay.
they're in the European
Yeah.
markets.
This
I was
is
under the impression that they weren't like a fully publicly traded. I thought they just
No.
had
only something with a publicly traded upper management can get this bad. When you
I mean,
when you
not
have
wrong.
to when you
Look,
have
not
to
that I don't like to blame it all on shit like that because I do, and I usually understand that that's usually what's wrong when it comes to this stuff. But like, I wasn't aware that was the case.
like no, this is upper management trying to set up unrealistic expectations to try to appease shareholders, and then trying to release something as best they can in the time frame they said they wanted to be in, even if it was too short. Trying to make sure that the shareholders wouldn't get angry for delaying it again. Because remember when they got delayed, those shareholders were like, "What the hell are you doing? This was supposed to come out in November. My fiscal year is ruined now, blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
Do you honestly think those shareholders who were mad about getting it delayed in November we're gonna have
Oh,
this
yeah,
shit
yeah.
get delayed
They're-
again?
They're actually probably really happy now because the stock price went down, which means they get to buy up more of it.
Or, the stock price went down, their stock value went down with it. So I don't think they're very happy.
No, they're
No,
probably
I
not
think-
happy.
No.
I think they're fine with it because it'll probably come back up.
It'll come back up, but they hedge their bets to try to
So-
get something out there. It pissed off the public and it didn't
Pissed
work
off all the
out.
video game companies.
So
too.
there was a CD Projekt Red conference call that somebody transcribed the other day, and it read that the person asked the question: Board ignored the warnings about last gen issues. Was game delivered anyway because you wanted to deliver this game this year? Launch is important, or you underestimated how bad it really is. CDPR. We focused too much on the PC performance and didn't bother much with the last gen consoles. There were no out of ordinary amount of pressure to release the game.
Lies.
Lies, liars.
I can't take it at face value at all.
That's
No.
horse shit.
No. Even though I appreciate the focus on the PC version of the game, I appreciate that. Like, if you're gonna make a console version, make sure it works.
Gotta commit to that, man.
Yeah. Or
That's-
don't make one.
How? Like, what was it? 60% of the pre-orders were for the console versions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the majority.
59%.
The largest demographic of people. Remember,
Of playing video games.
remember, not everybody can get a PS5 or Xbox Series X or a new NVIDIA graphics card
Yeah, I know.
easy. So you're
I
most
certainly
likely playing
can.
this on a last gen console. Well, there's only a last gen console version.
Yeah.
So that's the version you're playing. And they didn't think about that version when they thought about all like I
60% of their pre-orders. We didn't think about it.
Bullshit.
I
Dude, this is like Everything. I feel like all this shit with this industry is just fucking me up. It's making me hate this.
So
this is pure higher up nonsense. This
I know,
is
but
purely
no,
higher up.
no, it's not.
It's not because
It's an
the
industry
game,
problem.
the game released.
Yeah, it's an industry problem where all the industries have the same upper management issue.
That's the same thing.
Yeah,
But
really.
I don't think that the developers, the people in the trenches at CDPR are
Absolutely
like,
not.
No,
you know,
I
they're
don't
not to
blame them.
blame for that. I mean,
I don't
obviously,
blame them
like,
at all for this.
they don't want to release a buggy game.
No,
of course not.
Nobody who's working, they don't want to do that, but like
Look,
they have to because that's
But
what
the-
their bosses are telling
But the
them to
thing
do.
is, this, even though this situation is unprecedented because it blew up to such a grand scale, it's not crazy.
no,
Games release buggy all the time,
Yeah.
all the time.
and because with the promise that it'll be patched later.
Yeah.
This was just compounded because this is something that always happens. So I'm honestly happy that this is happening to the biggest fucking game that this could have possibly happened to.
I mean,
hopefully,
the whole
hopefully
reason
this will shake up something. I that's the only takeaway I could get from.
it's
this.
a perfect
man.
storm. It's a perfect storm of, you know, a highly anticipated hype. Yeah, highly anticipated. Publisher with a good reputation.
PR. Like, you
Yeah.
remember all those videos that came out prior, like
Yeah.
those 15, 30-minute videos?
Mhm.
Everything. There's some things in those
40
videos that they
minutes of
just
gameplay.
there's some things
Yeah.
in those videos that they straight up just took out the
Yeah.
final game.
Like when this happened with Arkham Knight, it's like what, the fourth Batman game like this? Like nobody cared as much.
The last time I think like the last time there was this many features removed from a game was like No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And that's because like the guy who was making the game just didn't know how to talk about it and would just freak out and make promises that they couldn't.
It got
deliver.
away from him. So that's like my friend likes to liken it. He's like, oh, this isn't as bad as No Man's Sky. I'm like, the difference with No Man's Sky is Sony put this independent developer on stage and everybody looked at that trailer and was like, this could be the game, the game.
Greatest thing of all time.
Yeah. And then it just got away from him.
Yeah.
This CD Projekt Red is responsible for it getting away from them.
Yeah. And speaking of No Man's Sky, they have turned that game around completely.
They turn it around, but you know what?
They have put every promise they made is in the game now. By the way,
But see, and here's the thing: I'm not. CD Projekt Red will get to a point where they will fix this game.
Almost certainly.
That's not my issue whatsoever.
It's the bullshit.
It's the handling in this entire situation that made me absolutely lose respect for them.
Not only that,
or whatever.
Yeah, it's not only the handling it; it's what led up to it.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's what led up to it. Like this could have used a few more months in the oven, but.
And I want to make something very clear. When I rant and rave about a company shitting the bed on a project like this, I'm not really blaming the developers much on this because I know so much of the decisions of when these games released is not in their hands at all.
Yeah.
So like, no, I just like to preface that because I feel like when I go on my tangents, I don't ever mention that part. You know, or when I'm going on an angry rant about, you know, Bethesda this week, like I actually don't blame the developers for that necessarily. Mm-hmm. Like I understand they're using an ancient, shitty, buggy engine, you know, and then they're like, oh, and get this out in, you know, insert how many months here, and then they're fucked, and then they get all the heat, you know, and it's unfortunate, and that's the thing that drives me crazy is that these fucking shithead upper management motherfuckers, okay, don't get any fallout from this. It's the people who are making the games that are getting the fucking death threats. Like, what the fuck? It's not their fucking fault. Don't send death threats to developers, people.
Don't send death threats to
anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, anybody who's sending death threats to anybody isn't going to be reasonable enough to listen to that. So
100%. Yeah, they're not listening to this.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person to send death threats to people, don't listen to our.
Just forget we exist.
I agree.
Yeah.
Same.
You know, we're dead to you. Don't.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I guess that's ultimately what just makes me so fucking furious. And I can't help but like, I'm feeling this more and more the longer I pay attention to these things. You know, like I'm feeling so disheartened with the industry right now. Like, the energy is sucked out of me right now, man.
Well, I got news for you. Pretty much everything you like, it's like this. It's just
I know, and it makes me sad. Yeah. It really bums me out just thinking about it. It's
anytime
how it's Spider-Man,
I said it 1,000 times. Anything something becomes publicly traded, there's shareholders involved, that is no longer good for the
Mhm.
consumer.
Mm-hmm.
No longer.
Never gonna argue that point, Joe.
No longer good.
We're on the same page there.
And everything goes to shit. It's about maximizing profits, not maximizing quality, maximizing profits. So I really like this. I really like this quote from this Bloomberg article here. It says, it says, one employee asked the board why it had said in January that the game was complete and playable when that wasn't true. To which the board answered that it would take responsibility. Another developer asked whether CD Projekt Red's directors felt it was hypocritical to make a game about corporate exploitation while expecting that their employees work overtime. The response was vague and non-committal.
Crunch. Crunching these poor people into the dirt.
You know what sucks about it? Oh no, go on, Dre.
I was about to say, I think that pretty much sums everything up.
What sucks about it is these people that made this game crunched for months, years on end, and now they still have to crunch.
Yeah.
Holiday time to fix this game.
They have to fix it.
Because this game won't be fixed until like mid next year.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
summer.
Honestly.
yeah, well,
Summer.
that's how long it would have taken to, probably get done in the first place.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep, and all the while people would have complained that it kept getting delayed, but then it always comes back to that legendary quote about a delayed
Miyamoto.
game is only delayed until you release it, but a bad game is bad forever.
My friend tried to make that argument to me. He's
Yeah,
like, "Well,
it's
if
not
they,
bad forever.
There's a few there. Things
but-
aren't bad forever anymore.
but that perception is."
Yeah,
Yeah, No Man's Sky will always have that terrible launch.
It does.
Honestly, and every time I think about playing it, I just remember that launch.
Same here, man. And I think that's really what that Miyamoto quote's about more than anything.
Yes.
Because
No.
and I think that's why it's still very it's still a very prescient.
You
quote
can
because,
you could reduce that fraction a little bit more and just say first impressions are lasting.
That's true.
bingo.
It's true, man. It's really true.
There's a reason why I was willing to give Final Fantasy XIV a shot. It's because I didn't play it when it came out originally. I played it when it came out originally. In fact, I refused to buy AMD products because the worst experience I ever had with a computer was 10 years ago with the AMD
Totally
stuff.
get that. Yep.
I'm just like, I don't care how good it is now. I don't trust to use it.
I get it.
Yeah.
My friend tried to make this argument with me, saying that, hey, if they would have delayed the game again, everybody would have been mad. I'm like, they would have been mad for a week.
Yeah, they would have gotten over
And
it.
got over it.
But how much money would they have lost?
None. They would have gone on to release the game the same way. They just wouldn't have had the money at that time.
Yeah.
And then they lost it anyway because now they have to do refunds.
Now they have
Exactly. Nobody benefited from this.
Yeah, and probably burn bridges with Sony.
Oh, Sony is, dude. That's the most passive aggressive statement I've ever heard Sony make.
If you think Sony is never going to host another CD Projekt Red game,
I'm
you're
not saying
missing-
that, but they're probably going to be like a little before you welcome certain people. It's like, yeah, Kojima, yeah, put your fucking game over here. CDPR is like, I don't know, you guys are good now.
Venom,
You guys
That's
see
right.
this?
a
guys
little,
good?
a little bit
And
harder on
they're
the
gonna
vetting.
They're gonna get that they're gonna get that fucking quality control under big time control for the next release because Sony's not gonna fucking play around that day one patch shit. Because they've already burned them so bad on this.
What I really hate is how the publishers are controlling the review market. That's what really gets me.
So remember when I said a few episodes back that no matter the quality of this game, it will be reviewed highly. Because that's what reviewers are a lot of times now. They are just
stooges.
Extra extensions of the publishing, the PR firm.
Disney does
That's
the
what they
same
are.
thing. If you don't review something Disney positively, they will not talk to you again.
Yeah.
I hate it. That's what pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just trying to control the narrative.
Well, that's why you go to certain people because you know.
Yeah, that's the whole point of and even then, if that person thrashes it, that's what it is.
Mhm.
And I've seen it. I don't know, man. I didn't see Disney cut anybody off for shitting on Rise of Skywalker.
Well, that movie was just bad.
That movie's just
Yeah, it was
bad.
terrible.
Yeah.
Disney knew.
Yeah, it was really bad.
But yeah,
nobody lost, nobody lost filming privileges for that,
But what I mean, I guess we could wrap it up now. But what is everybody's just general takeaway from this?
I hope something changes. I don't have your I don't have the bright outlook that you have on there, Theo. I would like it to be true, but I don't think anyone's going to learn any lessons from this because, like, the industry hasn't changed. Like, even though these AAA titles are inflated to a point of ludicrousness, I just watched a video of Last of Us 2 level breakdown. It took them 2 years to make one level in that game, with with an enormous amount of manpower behind it.
That's crazy.
2 years for the museum.
Wow.
Level. It took 2 years. Not like the entire team, but like the fact that and think about how short that part is.
That part is very short. It's
So-
like maybe 20 minutes.
So something's got to give here. Like the industry cannot keep doing this because
They will.
it can't.
Well,
It can't exist this way forever.
Unless
All the programmers are going to burn all the companies to the ground because they're all tired of being crunched into the dirt.
and
Or
then
they quit and they start making independent groups, which is what they
had been doing for years, and then we get
Right.
these really great games, but then the cycle starts again because they get bought up by a big company and blah blah blah. And blah, blah, blah.
Here's what happens. You drive your employees to quit. They just replace you with like 30 other people
Yeah,
who are
That
like
just came out of
waiting that just
college.
come out of college looking for a job because everybody wants into this shit.
Mhm.
There's no shortage of employees.
yeah,
No
there will be.
shortage.
There will be because things like this are going to keep happening, and everybody who loves video games is paying more attention to this shit
Yes.
So
I think this is gonna sound like political as fuck.
now.
But
I think it's inevitable when it comes to this kind of discussion. Just,
I think anytime something becomes publicly traded, that thing also needs to become unionized.
yes,
Like that should be like that's my opinion. Alright.
I'm with you too, Joe. I think there needs to be unionization of programmers.
Right. Because then you not
shit needs to
not
stop.
just programmers, anything.
Yeah, I
Anything.
agree.
Because otherwise your responsibility is solely to the people who buy stock in your company, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You're just a number. You're just a body to them.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. The quality goes down significantly when something becomes publicly traded. I've seen it 1,000 times. Movies, video games, fucking professional wrestling.
I say don't forget the wrestling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. So I'm not gonna say more than that, but like I completely agree with you. Jesus.
Well, I guess I'll leave it at these. This is basically the worst possible thing that could have happened to these guys,
Mhm.
and I think that their next game should just be a PC exclusive,
Make a console port.
and then make a console port a year and a half later.
Mhm.
Because when a console company puts their stuff on PC and they're not used to PC development, they bring it out later to make sure that, generally speaking, it works.
Yeah.
You guys,
They need to do it in
CDPR,
reverse.
you're not a console developer. Just do what you do.
Mhm.
Do what you
Yeah.
do.
Like I don't
You
think
think
I
they could
don't
have gotten away with it this time, though?
I don't
Yes.
think did the Witcher
think so?
Did The Witcher 1 come out on consoles? I don't even remember.
Never.
No,
And The Witcher
never.
2 came out years after the
Yeah.
fact. Only on Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. The
Yeah, it
enhanced
wasn't on PS.
3 was the only one that came out.
day and date.
Yeah, and the console versions of that game were not great.
Yeah.
At first.
PC versions of
Although-
the game wasn't great.
Stick to what you're good at.
Jesus. Yeah, man. So
All right, guys. I mean, I think we should do this every once in a while if like the news merits it.
yeah, if there's some crazy, we just do a small bit. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
down for that. A mini-sode.
If you watch, thanks. I don't expect this. Are we gonna put this? You know what? No, let's keep this on YouTube.
Okay.
You
Ooh.
took
Let's keep this on
exclusive.
YouTube.
Exclusive
This can be
content.
a nice little thing for the people who are watching us.
Okay.
Works for me.
We'll keep it on YouTube, and that way, if for whatever reason you want to hop by the channel and see if we're randomly talking about something, we can do that. We'll just be like, hey, here's a random episode about the debacle of CDPR,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know why they decided to release this game like this. Well, I mean, I know why.
I know
Yeah.
why. You know why.
Yeah.
We
I know
we
why.
all know why.
And they thought they could get away with it, but they
And-
took the mask off, and it was like, ah!
CD
I
Projekt.
get it.
Let's see who you really are. Bethesda.
Todd Howard, what are you doing here?
So again, I am saying this as the only person here who has put significant time into the game, and I do actually like the game. So
I want to play it.
it's I find it to be, it's just sad.
That's the fucked up thing. I still want to play it.
The game is good.
Look,
Yeah.
I was
haven't
watching.
run into any issues.
Like I was watching part of it earlier where you were riding around in a car that talks to you, trying to solve crime, and I'm like,
God damn it! For you, Joe. For you.
a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
I wish I didn't hear that. I did not actually know that was there. So bleep that out before we post it. Thanks for watching, guys. Cast off.